Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africa Fire Mission's weekly virtual training session. My name is Mike, and I'm the programs director here at Africa Fire Mission. We're so happy that you took time out of your busy schedules to come and join us for today's virtual training session. Today, we're joined by Adelino Paulino from South Africa, and he's going to be leading today's session where we're going to talk about Overhaul. Before we get started with our lesson, just a couple administrative items. If you stick around for at least 70% of today's training, which is usually about 40 or 45 minutes, you'll receive a certificate of attendance for today's training. Keep an eye in the chat. I'll place a link to our Google Drive. If you happen to get cut off or you can't complete today's lesson, you can go to our Google Drive and complete the training there by watching the video, answering a few questions about what you learned, and you'll be able to get a certificate of attendance for that as well. When we get finished with today's training at the top of the hour, we'll move into our tea time. Tea time is hosted by Jose Nanjiri. He is Africa Fire Mission's Fire Safety Officer. And before we get started with the training, I'm going to pass things over to Jose for a word of encouragement.
Thank you so much, Chief Mike. And I'm really glad to have Adelino Paulino from South Africa, who's today's instructor. And for you, for your sacrifice and your time, I'd encourage you to invite your buddies around Africa and also in your fire station. Please let them come in and listen to this very beautiful topic we have organized for you. Well, currently in Kenya, we are facing some few challenges. We're having a lot of rain. There's flooding, even in the city and even in the outskirts of the city. And something came into mind was when several calls were coming last night, and I was really feeling so helpless, because agencies are so overwhelmed. And a word in the Bible came to me about help. And it is from the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 40 in the Bible. And it says, "And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me." So I was feeling really helpless, and I was like, well, what can I really do to assist these people who are affected or afflicted by the floods? Because personally, I wasn't really affected. Just this morning, it was about some few hours before I came to work because of the rains. But then you might help. How can you help? You can help by donating some food. You can help by giving some of your clothes, or even maybe an extra mattress, or even just going and praying for them, or even going to the rescue places and assisting the rescue teams. So don't feel helpless. They was feeling helpless because it's so overwhelming. Just little as you do, trust me, you're doing unto God. Yeah. So get out there. If you're in Kenya, go out there and help. And also in your country, if there's any danger or any issue going through, never feel helpless. The little thing that you do, it helps much. Back to you, Chief Mike. And Adelino, all the best in today's class.
Thank you so much, Jose. We appreciate you and everything that you do, those words of encouragement. And we just want to be safe out there. We've been watching the flooding. I hope everybody's being as safe as they can when they're out there working. As I'd mentioned at the top of the hour, Jose is going to host that tea time and invite you to stick around. It's a time where you can ask questions about today's training or talk about anything else that might be going on in your fire brigades or in your life. Now, I think without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Adelino to get started with today's lesson. Adelino and I are going to kind of tag team this a little bit. I'm going to run his slideshow for him, so bear with us as we stumble through working from an ocean away. Go ahead, Adelino. Take it over, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Mike and Jose, for giving me the platform for today. It's my second platform that I'm using for Fire Mission. everything will go. And then, guys, please just ask questions if there is any question where you don't understand. But in all circumstances that we go through, you know these chapters, you've been there. And I'm Adelino Paulino from SA in Portugal. I'm a firefighter, instructor. Most of it, because due to the fact that we used to have a college here in Portugal that was accommodating about the whole Northwest, but now it's down. And then carry on. And most of the time, I just go out to Zambia and go and speak at the mine and then come back. But I'm enjoying it every moment of the life. So today's chapter we're going to do is loss control under overhaul. Loss control under overhaul. So as you know, loss control is a process whereby when the incident is done, like a house is burned down, and then firefighters for the next day, they can come in and then do the salvaging and investigation or inside the house. So under loss control, we're gonna learn about overhaul. And under overhaul, I just made about three. We've got some objectives on the overhaul that I did not place it in there.
The philosophy of loss control is to minimize damage and provide customer service through effective mitigation and recovery effort, and to build a goodwill to the customers. Why should we build a goodwill to the customers? Because they are the ones who are paying for all those services. So the moment you give them that, you help them in renovating or fixing their houses by cleaning up and do investigation, you are now building that goodwill so that anytime when the next time comes, they won't be able to fight. And then you're giving them their value for their money. Can you go for the next one? The salvage and overhaul is most effective means of loss control and restoration of properties. So it's been like what we used to do long time. We used to restore, because when we do maybe vertical ventilation in the burning house, after vertical ventilation, then the house is extinguished, and then we come back with salvages and then cover all those holes, especially if the house is not burned completely, or there is some rooms that at least the people can stay in. Then we cover all those holes. We cover all those windows that are broken so that the people can at least get a place to stay. And then from there, when the rain comes, it does not cause what? Water damage in the house. Go up. Oh. Okay, overhaul consists of operation involving searching for and extinguishing hidden or remaining fires. Protecting the scene and preserving evidence are components of overhaul. So overhaul consists of involvement of extinguishing hidden fires. So in most of the cases, when you come and do the overhaul, there are some hidden fires that are being left behind. So you'll be coming with your water extinguisher or a 35mm hose line, and then while you're doing your overhaul, you mitigating some of the fires down, or some of the charcoals or the flames that are still in progress of burning, and then you extinguish them down, and then you start collecting all those evidences, and then you're going to do your investigation. So by protecting the scene and preserving evidence are components of overhaul. It's important when you're doing overhaul, make sure that all those evidence that you find, you protect them so that the investigator can be able to go and do his or her investigations. If possible, do not start overhaul operation until fire is under control, fire cause has been determined, evidence has been identified. So when the fire is burning, when the house is burning, it's in progress of being extinguished. So you don't do your overhaul due to the fact that you are going to tamper with the evidences. So just leave until the fire is totally extinguished, and then you can start your overhaul. If the fire has been burning during the night, you cannot start your overhaul that night because you won't be able to see evidences. You can wait until the next day, but the most important thing is to cordon off the building so that nobody can go in. Evidence has been identified and protected. So operations conducted once main body of a fire has been extinguished. Searching for and extinguishing hidden or remaining fires, placing building and content in the safe condition. The most important thing is when you're doing your loss control or overhaul, sometimes you will find that the building that has been burning, there was a person inside the building that has been burned, unidentified. And then once the firefighter have been finished extinguishing, and then when the overhaul guys come in, they do thorough search from the place that from the building or from the room that has been burning, that have got severe burning. They start there until they do the whole round, about 360 degrees inside the building, until maybe they can find a person that has been burned. Because sometimes firefighters, they end up not knowing if there was a person who has been burned, and because of that person has been not identified that there was a person inside the building. Yes, Mr. Cole? Overhaul, operation conducted once main body of fire has been extinguished, determining fire cause and recognizing preventing evidence of arson. Sometimes you find that the evidence, the building was caused by arson, and then we wouldn't know as firefighters. So by doing the investigation during overhaul, or by doing the search, or by identifying the evidences during overhaul is most important, because you will end up finding that the cause of the fire was arson. And then once you determine the cause of the fire, you immediately tell your supervisor, notify your supervisor, what did you find? Because it's important to notify a supervisor, not other firefighters who are outside, because the moment you tell other firefighters who are outside what's going to happen, the things are going to spread. Some of the firefighters cannot hold their mouths. It's going to spread. It's better to tell your supervisor will note it and record it. Yes. Safety during overhaul. There are steps required for safety during overhaul. Inspecting premises, developing operation plan, providing tools and equipment, eliminating or mitigating hazard. So by inspecting premises, make sure that once you look for anything that's going to hinder the firefighters, the moment you find all those types of hazards, then you mitigate them. You develop an operational plan, how you going to do your overhaul during that time. The moment you develop your operational plan, and then everything is going to go accordingly. Provide tools and equipment. You must be able to provide tools and equipment to the firefighters, especially tools that are going to help during overhaul in order for you to be able to determine the evidence or take the evidences and then clean them up or cover the evidence. Eliminate and mitigate hazards. Every hazard that you see, eliminate them and mitigate them. Just make sure that you identify hazards so that other firefighters can be able to see the hazards that are present there. Toxic gases, a common dangerous threat during overhaul. Where appropriate, PPE, including respiratory protection. So during overhaul, there's lots of toxic gases. So by wearing PPE, full PPE, it eliminates or it helps your lungs for you to perform your duties, because the moment you are not fully protected, you won't be able to do your duties properly because of the things that are already present inside the building. No matter how the building is well extinguished or not well extinguished, put on your fully PPE or in order to safeguard yourself. Other hazards are present, such as fire weakened floor, mark or barricade hazards area, use gloves and eye protection. So in most of the cases, some of the houses that have got wooden floors have got a lot of hazards because the wooden floor tends to bend down and then create a weakened floor. So when the floor is weakened, you'll end up what? Stepping on it and then you fall in, you create a hole and fall in. Make sure that you identify it the moment it's identified, so and then the others will be able to see it, and then barricade all the hazardous area. Identify and barricade them. Mark them with chalk or barricade them with a tape. Use gloves and eye protection. Why do you have to use? Because of it is one of the protective equipment or clothing. Due to the fact that sometimes you're going to work on the ceiling and then you want to take down the ceiling. If you're not using your eye protection, and then what happens? All those stuff that's in the ceilings, and then it can fall in your eyes, and then you'll end up being blind or hurt your eyes, become blind as obviously. Right, Mr. Carl? Safety during overhaul. Physical condition and correct lifting is necessary. Fatigue is a preventable cause of injury. So your physical condition, make sure that when you're lifting, those sofas inside the building or stuff that are inside the building that are not bent, make sure that you take one of the firefighter, you don't lift it alone, because of you're gonna injure your back and then you can create some injuries in your body. Make sure that if you feel tired and then you see that, okay, I've been doing a lot of work, make sure you do exchange. You exchange with other guys so that there must be a rotation for you guys to be able to finish your overhaul and work properly accordingly. Because the moment you carry on working alone, you'll end up doing some wrong things and then fall down because you are tired. And then the job won't be so perfectly. Okay, overhaul tools and equipment. So there are different types of equipment that is used in overhaul. It's a pike pole, plaster hook, X prying tool, power saw, drill, and screwdrivers. All these tools are some of the main tools that you use in overhaul. There are a lot of tools that can be used, but these ones are the tools that will be able to open the door with. You can break the ceiling so that you'll be able to see if the fire has extended, how far has the fire extended. You got your prying tools and your axes that you can use to break down the door and in order for you to gain access. Then you get your carry haul, you got your buckets and tubs, you got your shovels, bale, hooks, pitchfork, you got your thermal imaging camera. So these buckets and tubes and carry haul, most of the time the carry haul, you'll be using it on the ceiling. Some of the houses have got water pipe that runs on top. So those water pipes, they get damaged. So your carry-on is going to be able to mitigate or to cover that hole with that water, and then you shoot the water outside the building. You got your bucket that you'll be using in order to take all those small particles inside the building, and then put in the bucket with water. You shook it, and then from there you'll be able to identify, take out some of the evidences that you have that are there. All the tubes, especially bath tubes, you will be using it also because you won't be carrying it. You'll find the bath tubes inside the house or the premises that was burning. You got your shovels that you're going to use in conjunction with your buckets. You got your bell hooks, you got pitchfork, and your thermal imaging cameras. Sometimes you'll have to get inside a building. Once you are inside the building, you want to see if there is any patient or a person inside the building that you can be able to identify. So sometimes you won't be able to see, but with your thermal imaging camera, it will be able to identify the individual that's inside, that is passed away, maybe he's bent beyond recognition. Then you'll be able to say, okay, there was a human there, then you have to mitigate it, and then you can be able to identify it with your imaging camera. Okay, supervision of overhaul. It is done by a supervisor, officer, or not directly engaged in overhaul task. Fire investigators should be involved. So when they say officer not directly engaged in the overhaul task, it means you will be able to be supervised by a person who's outside the building, who's not near you. That will be you will be able to communicate with him via the radio. The fire investigator sometimes will be with you there, will be able to teach you or tell you, okay, can you work for me here? Identify for me here, take this out, so that he must be able to do his investigation thoroughly. Fire safety during overhaul, you have to do your size up. The size of the hose line in the overhaul may not be the same. Disconnecting fire apparatus from hydrant, departmental SOP may dictate one supply line left inside in the place. So the size hose line is not going to be the same as an attack line. When you're doing your overhaul, you take your attack line out, and then you put your overhaul line, the 35mm hose line in order to do your overhaul with, or to mitigate all the hidden fire with. So the attack line used for overhaul are typically 38 millimeters to 45 millimeters. Water fire extinguisher or booster hose line may be used for a small fire. One attack line should be available for overhaul all the time, because you're not gonna do your overhaul inside the building and then you leave your overhaul line or your booster lines outside. So you have to carry all the booster line inside. If you don't have it, you can use your water extinguisher in order to mitigate the small fires or the ashes that are still burning. Okay, fire safety during overhaul. Place the nozzle so it may not cause additional damage. Do not allow water damage from the leaking hose. Use at least 100 feet, 30 meters hose line as the first section of the attack line. So place the hose in addition of not to make me. Sometimes if you place the hose where you're working, and then you're gonna end up kicking the hose and then you open it and then it causes water damage, especially if the hose is leaking. It causes the water damage inside the building, and then it's gonna tamper again with the evidences that are supposed to be worked on. Do not allow water damage. At least use 30 meters hose line from the section of the attack line from outside to inside, so that you must have a longer line that you can maneuver inside the building. Safety consideration. Maintain situation awareness. Work in team of 2 or more. Maintain awareness of exit route and maintain RIC. So make sure that you maintain your situation awareness, where before you get in, just do your 360 degrees or 360 degrees, and then listen, look, and feel for anything that are happening. Sometimes when you look on the roof and then on the walls, you'll be able to see if the walls are uneven. Then you know that, okay, hazard for you. Search for any hazard. Once you find a hazard, make sure that you eliminate it and then identify it, report it. Because if you don't report it and then something happened to you, the guys outside, they don't know what you see inside. Work in team of 2 or more. Don't work alone. Work in team of 2 or more, because if anything happens to one guy, then the other guy can still rescue the guy out, you out. It's the same like fighting a live fire inside the building. It's just for overhaul, the fire is not burning, but it's still dangerous for the firefighter. Maintain awareness of exit route. Make sure that you identify your exit route so that whenever anything happens or your exit route gets blocked, and then you don't have a secondary exit. So identify all the exit route that you can run to. Maintain RIC. Make sure that you got a rapid intervention crew outside waiting for anything that can happen to you 2 guys inside the building. If there's any roof collapse, the RIC can come and rescue the 2 guys that are inside, or 4 guys that are inside. 2 is equal to 2 guys and 4 is equal to 4 RIC. That's how it's gonna work. And then you have identified your exit routes. Monitor personnel for rehab. Beware of hidden gas or electrical utility. Continue using accountability system. monitor your personnel for rehab. Sometimes some of the personnel, they go once they come in, inside the building. Now what happens? They intend to take the mask off because they cannot see any fumes or anything. But it's more dangerous. Keep your SCBA on, fully operating, and then you'll work well. But the moment you go in, make sure that your health is good in order for you to operate. If it's not good, then identify it, report it, so that they can exchange you. Beware of hidden gases or electrical utility. Beware of that. Make sure that you identify, you check for it, so that anything that can happen, then you know that, okay, there is electrical gases or electrical wires or gas that are still leaking. Some of the towns have got gas pipes that are being used for cooking inside the houses. So you find that the gas pipe is not shut down, and then it's still leaking slowly and slowly. And then the moment it catches a spark or hidden fire, it can engulf again, and then hit the guys who are inside the building, and then they can end up getting injuries or death can occur. Continue using accountability. The incident commander I see outside the building, make sure that he uses personnel accountability system, must know who gets in and who gets out, what time did they get in and what time are they getting out, how many pressure do they have in their cylinders, so that they must be monitored, and how long in order for them to work inside the building. The procedures, overhaul procedures. Overhaul procedures begins in the area of most severe fire involved. Looking for fire extension should begin as soon as possible after fire is declared under control, systematically carried out. So the procedure begins when at the most severe fire involvement. Then you start there, and then you go all around until you finish the whole building. Then by looking for extension, it begins as soon as possible after the fire is declared under control, especially during the day. It's more advantageous because you'll be able to see how did the fire extend, and how did it burn the building, or how did it affect the building. Systematically, it is carried out systematically when you're doing the fire investigation or overhaul procedures. So you must go systematically from the severe burn to the minor burn. Overhaul procedures, if fire extended to other area, path must be determined. When floor beams are burned at ends, or where they enter a party hall, flush the voids in the wall with water. Make sure that if the fire extended to the other areas, it must be determined in order for you to be able to see how the fire has been extending. When the floor beams have burned at the end, or when they are enter the party hall, make sure that you flush the voids, you flush them, so that it must not be able to catch fire again. Some of the voids they have got glue. So that glue stands there, and then the more they get heat, and then it starts now to burn again. Check far side of the wall to see if the fire or water has come through. Thoroughly check insulation materials. Okay, you must check the far side. You can go outside or on the other room to see if the flames or the fire has gone through, or the water that was being used to extinguish has gone through. If it has gone through, it means that it's either the fire went to the ceiling or it did not go through. And then that's how you're gonna now dismount the ceiling off, so that you must be able to investigate it. Thoroughly check insulation material to see if the fire is still isolated inside those insulation, because those insulation, they will contain that heat, and then that heat can be able to produce flames in the later time because of the heat. It will be heated, and then because due to the effect of chemical reaction, they will react and then start burning again. Building construction of overhaul. When fire has burned around combustible roof or corners, open corners and inspect for hidden fires. Balloon construction, check the attic and the basement for extension of the fire. Make sure that if the corners are bent on the side of the wall, on the side of the near the roof, make sure that you remove them and check for extension of the fire, if it's still there, or the fire is it extending through the corners. So for balloon construction, check if the attic and basement for fire extension. Sometimes you find that the fire all those burnt particles or burnt materials can end up falling inside the basement and then create another fire again. If the fire has started in the basement and then went up, then you can start from where the fire is extending, and then you go in the basement and then extinguish it. But the moment you have extinguished it, you're gonna start your investigation in the basement and then see how has the fire extended, because sometimes it will extend in different directions, and then it has been extending in different directions, and then has been hidden there and no one knows. But there will be different types for you. You'll be hearing or hissing noise or cracking noise, then you know that there is fire somewhere.
Just to add into your balloon construction, it's a term we use a lot in the US, where there's no breaks between the floors. So your exterior walls will have a void space that goes from the basement or from the lowest floor all the way to the top. So that's why that's specifically mentioned there.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Building construction and overhaul. Opening concealed spaces. Move the finish of the room to a location where there will not be damage. Consider electrical wiring, gas piping, or plumbing. Just make sure that when you're moving the finishes, create a drop zone where all those unburned finishing can be dropped there, so that they must be protected. And there's all those burn finishes must have their own drop zone so that they can be partially extinguished from outside. Consider electrical wiring and gas piping, or the plumbing where there's all those water things and pipes, so that you must not disturb them, because the moment you disturb them, what's going to happen is either create water damage or electrical current can occur or gas can burst out and then create another scene again. Make a neat plan opening to ensure what? Extinguishment and facilitate restoration. Make a plan opening on the roof so that it can facilitate what? Restoration by putting a salvage on top so that the water can not go in, or wooden planks or some steel sheet so that it can facilitate where the opening is done. Because some of the openings, they will open the roof and then take the whole sheet out, and then you won't be able to facilitate. The only thing that you're going to use maybe is the long salvage sheet that you're going to put on top of the house. So make sure that when you're doing your ventilation on top of the house, make a neat cut, and then it can be covered again. Ceiling may be opened from below using what? Pike pole or other tools. The plaster must first be broken on some ceiling. When pulling a ceiling, do not what? Stand directly under the area to be opened. So the ceiling may be opened using what? Pike pole. When you're pulling that ceiling, make sure that you face your back or the exit, and then your face, you must be well safely be well removed. So that's the biggest problem that can happen to a firefighter. All right, Mr. Carl. Always position the body between area being pulled and the doorway to keep exit route from being blocked. Always wear full protective clothing, including what? Eye protection and respiratory protection for your lungs. That's most important. Make sure that you are fully protected when you're pulling the ceiling, because of those debris when they come out. Sometimes they've got asbestos and everything. They can enter your eyes, you can inhale them. But the moment you are well protected with SCBA, your respiratory function will be well protected, or your lungs will be well protected. So it's important to put on your full protective clothing. Small burning object. Overhaul construction and overhaul. Small burning project. Make sure that all those tools that we're talking about, you submerge entire object in the container of the water, or bath tube, sink, lavatory, wash tubes, so that you must be able to remove all those dirts outside or collect evidence from there. Remove large finishes to the outside so that you can be able to have a big space for yourself and save all those finishes. Okay, scotch or partially burned articles may prove helpful to investigate. Use of wetting agents such as Class A foam is available. Cotton upholstery and baled goods must break bale or frags cotton hay apart. So most of the time, all those baked goods, like all those baled goods are put in together. Make sure that you break them apart, because sometimes those clothes that are baled together, what happens? The fire gets inside, and then what happened to cotton? It takes long for it to bend, so it absorbs the flames very, very, very fast. So all those flames get hidden there. So break them and then extinguish all those particles that are burning down.
That's it. That was our last slide.
Yes, Mr. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for giving the opportunity to introduce the class or to teach the class. I see we're on 55 still strong. And yeah, I'm so grateful for the guys for them listening to me. But I think the reason why they don't ask questions, they know what's happening. They know the chapter. But anyway, so grateful, guys. Think the next time it will be different, another one again, another different chapter, and then we'll carry on. Let us all just introduce ourselves, especially the instructors. Let us come and we'll listen to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Adelino.
All right, Mr. Carl.
Appreciate you being here and leading our training for us. Good topic there of overhaul and those dual purposes of overhaul, where we're preparing for our investigation, and also really want to emphasize what you mentioned at the beginning about that it being a great way to get some goodwill with the community. You know, sometimes you get to the fire, and it's so far out of control that you really don't have. You're not going to stop it. You're not going to be able to save the building. It happens to us, you know, here in the U.S. too, where the fire just had such a head start. But taking that time to help save what's savable from the building after the fire's out, to bring out any valuables that they can still use, really helps to build that goodwill with the community. So we're building the goodwill, we're doing our investigation, and then we're also in that overhaul, just making sure that the fire is out, that it's not going to restart, it's not going to spread. At this point in time, I'm going to sort of wrap up the formal portion of our training. Thanks to Adelino for today's lesson. Thanks to Jose for being here with us as well. And thanks to you all for taking time out of your schedules to join us, to learn more about your trade here, to do what you can to better yourselves, to better serve your community. We've got plenty of seats here in the trainings. Be sure to share with all of your colleagues. Today, there's a lot of you sharing your screens. I've gotten lots of messages about you guys sharing your screens with other folks. That's great. We'll get certificates out to all of you as well. So thanks for your time, your money, your bundles, being here, and we'll see you all again next week.